Once we've done all that hard work, we're going to have a bit of fun by doing a couple of modifications. Hello guys, and welcome to this Volkswizard video. Now, some of you may recall that in early December I purchased from Crew Volkswagen a car that turned out to be the penultimate Golf R to be registered in the UK until the new model comes along in 2021. It is of course this pure white estate you see here. As soon as I got it, I raised it up and sprayed the underside components with a protective wax, and I swapped the original Cadiz wheels for these very bland winter wheels with some winter tyres on them. But we're going to put that right properly with a good set very soon. The car's now done around 1200 miles and it's fully running, but because I've been using it so much, I haven't had time to give the paintwork a coat of protective wax. So we're going to do that today. Before we do that, we're going to give the paintwork a machine polish to make it as shiny as possible. Once we've done all that hard work, we're going to have a bit of fun by doing a couple of modifications, and then the car will be ready for its new set of wheels and tyres, which I'm really looking forward to fitting. That should be some point in January, maybe later in the month. Before we do that though, we've got a lot of polishing to do, so let's get cracking. Okay, I'm going to show you the process just on the driver's side, but obviously I'm going to repeat it on the passenger side and the bonnet and the boots and so on. There's no point in me filming everything because it would just get a bit boring. I do want to point out, after I did the GTI new car detail back in the summer of 2018, there was a lot of whinging about the process that I was doing and how it wasn't, as good as it possibly could be, probably from people who are on the Detailing World forum, which, some of them made some reasonable points. But my point is, I don't want this to be overly complicated. I want it to be simple enough for people to do it without worrying about expense and the time it takes, because doing this way is a lot better than not doing it at all. We're going to start off then by using a rapid detailer to clean the paintwork. It's been a couple of days since it has been washed. There's not an awful lot of dust in the air during the winter, but there could be something. We don't want to rub that into the paintwork, so we're just going to give the panels a wipe down and make sure they're as clean as possible. Okay, now we're going to use the Autoglym tar and glue remover that we used in the first video to get some of the glue off. This is to get tar spots off that it will have accumulated in the last month while it's been driven, and there's still a bit of glue here and there. So you just spray it on and leave it for a bit, and you'll see any sort of tar spots just start to melt and drip down at the door. It's amazing stuff. So yeah, we've got a few little spots here that are melting away, so that's good. There's also a bit of glue up here that I must have missed originally, so let's just spray a bit on there. Leave that to soften. Now, quite often with the car, just using this will make the paintwork look amazing if it's not been overly marred by washing. So yeah, this does produce some really good results. And it's a new car, so there won't be an awful lot wrong with the paintwork, especially as I've been the only person who washed it. But I still feel it's just nice to give it that machine polish first before you put the wax on, so it's just nice and consistent all over the car. So yes, let's just get wiping now. The good thing about white is that it does show tar and other marks very obviously, unlike say a black or a blue. Okay, now with the paintwork clean, we're ready to start polishing it. Now, I've used for years this 3M sort of system. This is a middle grade one called Extra Fine Plus, and it really brings the shine out in paint. And you apply that with a matching yellow 3M pad. My chosen machine polisher for the last I don't know, 8 years. Normally these things break. Well, before then has been this Dodo Juice Spin Doctor, I think V2. And yeah, it's been great. It's variable speed, it's not too heavy. It did come with a very long black lead on it, but that got a bit damaged. So I've just replaced it with one from a Flymo that not only is longer, but also is a bit safer, being orange. Now, a lot of people will apply the compound to the compounding pad, but I'm not really into that. I'd rather be a bit tidier. So what I do is use a clean microfiber, also wash that every time you use it, the pad, and I've washed this microfiber, and it's kind of handy that it's damp as well when you're applying this. It's quite a damp day today, so a little bit of rain isn't necessarily a bad thing, but what we don't want to do is make a massive mess and have this sort of flying all over the car and getting all over the plastics. If you're careful, don't apply too much, apply it in the right places, you can do this job very tidily. So with that there, I just rub it into the paintwork and then get enough on there. It's pretty hard on a white car to see, so it's quite handy that it's a dull day today. If this was really sunny, you wouldn't see anything else, and it would also dry very quickly, so a bit of moisture in the compound is a very good thing. As you probably noticed, I've masked up all the sensitive areas, so window rubbers, the badge, which is probably okay anyway, being metal. I'm not a big fan of getting a mop anywhere near plastic like this, so just cover it with a masking tape. I've used this 3M stuff recently and it's really good. Today's quite a damp day and it's sticking really well, so I think anything else is a bit of a false economy. It's called Scotch 3434. Okay, so let's get the compound applied to the panels then. Okay, before we get polishing, I just want to say, while I was cleaning the paint with the rapid detailer and the tar and glue remover, I was looking for paint defects, because when I bought my Mk7 Golf R brand new in 2014, pretty much every panel had a dirt inclusion in it, which was something I'd never seen before from a car from the factory. I'd seen it before with cars that had been repaired, but it did seem to be a thing with the early Golf 7s. This seems to be a lot better, but being white, it's really hard to tell. So once we've got it polished, we'll probably see a bit more if there is anything to see, but so far it looks really good, so let's get polishing. So I've put the pad on now. I think it's pretty central, which is quite useful. Compounds on, so yeah, let's get doing it. Okay guys, well, it's as simple as that really. You can't do a lot of damage with a fine compound. You can do a lot of damage with a more aggressive compound. You can go through the paint, but with the yellow compound from 3M, I don't even know what it's called, Extra Fine Plus, it just brings out the luster in the paintwork. It's a great beginner's polish if you want to just feel the benefits of machine polishing paintwork without taking too many risks, and if your paintwork's already in quite good condition. So now you've done that, there'll be compound all over the panels, and it's very hard on a white car in particular to see where it is. Sometimes you can polish it all away pretty much just through the process of polishing and it just goes, but on this car it's kind of hard to see even in the pretty good light today. So I'm going to wipe the panels down with a clean microfiber. I always use a different colour for ones that remove the compounds and the waxes, and then just try and look carefully at the paintwork to make sure you've got rid of the compound. Okay, we've cleaned the paint, we've polished the paint, now we can wax the paint. For quite a few years I was a big fan of Autoglim HD wax, but in 2019 they made the pot smaller and the price bigger, so I looked on Detailing World for alternatives, and a lot of people were recommending this Collinite number 845 Insulator wax, and I pretty much use this exclusively through 2020. I've only ever bought one of them, so it lasts pretty well. It does have one problem in that it's very temperature sensitive, so today I couldn't get it out of the bottle, so I put some boiling water in a cup, and luckily it kind of fits just right, and that's melted it a bit, and now it's a little bit more liquid. You never really have that problem with Autoglim HD wax, but then this is quite a lot cheaper, so for the cost of a cup of boiling water you can use it like Autoglim HD. Now I apply it with a washed out microfiber. I use this one exclusively for this wax. I quite like to apply it damp, especially in the summer, and so it's kind of can be runny depending on the temperature. This is probably what it's like in the summer naturally, but because I've warmed it up it's runny. But the beauty of it is it goes on quite well, so that will probably do the whole wing quite easily. But as with every wax, it's really hard to see what you're doing on a white car. So once you've applied it, take a lot of care to apply it as thoroughly as you can, but sit back and have a look and just make sure the panel's completely covered. It's always a good idea to read the instructions to see how long you should leave the wax on the car, particularly in the summer, because if you leave it too long it can set really hard and be very difficult to remove. Today we're in the middle of winter, it's about 3 or 4 degrees, so it's probably a cooler day than most people would be doing this kind of work, but I need to get the wax on the car to protect the paintwork. The official line from Collinite is that you should only apply the wax to paintwork that's lukewarm, which sounds a bit impractical for the UK. Plus, I've also always been told not to do this kind of stuff in direct sunlight, so to have lukewarm paint in the shade in the UK is going to be quite hard to achieve. So maybe I should have done it in July, but here we are today. It does say though, put it on and remove it as soon as it goes dry or hazy. So I think I'll err on the side of caution today, because it's not going to get baked onto the car because it's so cold, and it's also quite a moist day. So I think let's just make sure it dries, because that will give it durability in the longer term. So I'll probably give it actually today about 25 minutes. We're already on about 10, so I'll see you in about a quarter of an hour. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes, so it's now time to get the wax off. I'm just using a clean microfiber. As with the compound, just look very carefully at the panel as you wipe it to make sure you're getting it all off. There's nothing worse than having smudges on a car where you haven't removed the wax, and that's particularly easy on a white car. Straight away you can hopefully see there's quite a nice deep shine to this car, even on a dull day like today. White's not going to be the best colour for getting all excited about your polishing, because it's just got no depth to it. But apart from looking good, which probably won't last very long this time of year, when the dirt goes on the car it won't sort of stick to the paint as much. So if you're pressure washing dirt off or snow foaming it, you'll find the dirt kind of comes off a lot more readily, which means when you wash the car with a wash mitt, you're not rubbing that dirt into the paintwork. So it does protect the paint in other ways other than the most obvious way, which means it's like a barrier between all the bird poo and salt and your paintwork. So let's get wiping it off. Now, a lot of people have concerns about how hard it is to get a wax off the car, but today, as I said, it's kind of a cold day, so it hasn't really baked it too hard, and it's coming off really easily. You can feel when it's off because there's less resistance to the panel. It's really sort of slippery. I have done the mirrors as well, although that will be somewhat academic, as you'll find out shortly. So yes, that does look pretty good. Okay guys, well what do you think then? Hopefully even on this very dull winter's day you can see the difference that has made to the paintwork, and not only does it look good, you can kind of relax knowing that it's protected from the worst the winter can throw at it. And if you use a pH neutral shampoo, it should stay on the car for quite a long time. It won't be as good as a ceramic coating, but for the cost involved and the time spent, it's a pretty good way of protecting your paintwork. If you were going to do this job yourself, I reckon for one side of an average car, you're looking at about 20 minutes. There's going to be a bit more time while the wax cures, but the beauty of doing it one side at a time is that you can go and work on the other side while the wax is curing, so it's not lost time. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with that. I'm not so pleased I've got to go and do the rest of the car now, but at least when I've done that, we can get on to doing the first modifications to my Golf R estate. The beauty of owning a Golf is that there's a million things you can do to it to make it more suited to your own personal taste. Around 5 weeks ago, I made a video with my Golf GTI TCR where I fitted the Ozram dynamic mirror indicators. We use the smoke version on that car, and some people said, can you do an installation guide when you use the clear ones? Well, that's what we're going to do today. So basically these look like OEM, but they flash in a dynamic way, which means that they illuminate in the direction that you're indicating. They're $179.99 from many suppliers, including Auto Bulbs Direct. I'll put a link in the description below. With the TCR, we also changed the mirror casings from the matte black ones to some lovely carbon fibre ones, but I couldn't give you a link where to buy them from because I bought them second hand. Well, today we're going to get rid of what I think are the chintzy silver mirror casings on the R and fit some nice gloss black ones, which were a factory option. The beauty of these is that they're available for peanuts on eBay. They're about £20 for the pair, or maybe a little bit more. If you order them from China, they're about £20, so that's where I got mine from. Now, I've already started the process. If you want to see the in-depth, detailed way to do this, then I'll put a link in the description below to the video where I do it on the TCR, because we go into the nitty-gritty there. There's some good news in that there is a different way of doing it, which means that you don't damage the original indicator lens when you take it out. So I'll don my head-mounted GoPro and show you exactly how to do that. Okay, well, it's just started snowing, hence why it's quite dark as well. There's a big grey cloud above us, but I'm going to carry on anyway. It's really hard filming at this time of year for many reasons, but not least because of the light and the weather. And it's been so cold recently. At least it's like about 3 and 4 degrees today. It's been like a 0 here, which is really, really hard to just sort of stand around in, even with long johns on and lots of layers. Anyway, what we've done so far is we have removed an additional 2 screws from the mirror casing, which makes all the difference. So when you're doing the job as per the Ozram instructions, you undo the 2 screws that hold this in. But if you undo 2 screws in here, one there and one there, and then unclip this section from here by pinching in these 2 bits here, you get enough room then to maneuver this out without breaking it. So this is the bit that normally breaks off because it latches into this section here. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if you end up breaking this, because you're not going to use it, and when you refit it, if you refit it, you never know because it's completely hidden from view. But it's nice to do the job without breaking it, and it's not much harder to do. In fact, it's probably even easier to do in many ways. This time round, I've also used masking tape to stop scratching the mirror body only slightly when you remove the mirror lens. You don't have to have it in there when you refit it because you can push it in square, but when you're removing it, it does come out at an angle. So that's that. So let's get the mirror lens back in, which is really easy. Make sure you push it firmly. And there you go, in the middle of a snowstorm, we have fitted the Ozram dynamic mirror indicators, which I will demonstrate now. And we've got black mirror casings, which I think you would agree look a lot better. And when we get the new wheels on, which are like an anthracite colour, it will all hopefully fall into place, and that should be happening hopefully in the next video within 2 to 3 weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this Volks Wizard video in the middle of a snowstorm. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share, please do subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one, hopefully when it's not snowing.